My name is Dr. Keith Taylor, and I'm a board certified internal medicine and pediatric physician in Walterboro, South Carolina. And I'm also a member of Campbell Chapel AME Church in Bluffton, South Carolina. And I'm here to talk to you about COVID-19 vaccines. Currently, there are 3 vaccines that have been approved by the FDA. There's the Pfizer vaccine, the Moderna vaccine, and the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The Pfizer and Moderna vaccine are mRNA viruses, and the Johnson & Johnson vaccine are what we call a vector vaccine. Before I talk to you more in detail about these vaccines, I would like to briefly go over and review coronavirus. Now, particularly the COVID-19 virus. Now, COVID-19 belongs to a family called coronaviruses that normally causes the common cold. However, COVID-19 as well as SARS back in the early 2000s are mutations of those viruses, and they are more deadlier and have more severe symptoms than the average coronavirus. Now, the coronavirus is a spear-like virus with what we call spike proteins on the surface of the virus. And when you come in contact with the virus, either by inhaling the virus when someone coughs in your presence or sneezes in your presence, or accidentally touching a contaminated surface and wiping your face with your hands, or wiping your eyes with your hands, and another way you can get infected. These virus particles get into your airway and into your lungs, and when they get there, the spikes on the surface of this virus attaches to your cells. And when these spike proteins attach to your cells, they kind of fuse your cell and the virus together, allowing the virus DNA to be released into your cells. And that virus DNA goes into your nucleus of your cells to produce more virus particles. So your cell is producing more virus particles from the DNA that was released from the virus into your cells. And when the cell becomes full with virus particles, then that cell releases the particles in your bloodstream, and then those particles go to other cells in your body, affect those cells in your body, and repeat the process all over again. So, as I told you, that the coronavirus has spikes on top of the surface of the virus, and that is the basis of how the vaccine was created. The spike proteins on the surface of the coronavirus. So, what scientists have done with the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccine, they took the DNA of that spike protein on the surface of the coronavirus, broke it down to the mRNA, and the mRNA gets its information from the DNA, and the mRNA goes into the cell and help produce the proteins that the DNA encoded the mRNA to produce. So they took the mRNA from the spike proteins, they attach it to some fat cells, sugar, other proteins, created the vaccine. And so how the vaccine function is, when they inject you with the vaccine, the mRNA goes to your cells in your body, and the cell takes the mRNA from the vaccine and produces just the spike proteins. They don't produce the virus, they just produce the spike proteins. And then they release that into your body. Now, when your immune system sees these spike proteins, it produces antibodies, just as if you've been infected with the coronavirus. Now, remember, the spike protein is what is needed for the COVID-19 to attach your cells. So this vaccine is producing antibodies against that spike protein so that the spike protein cannot attach to your cells and cause you to become infected. So that is how they came up with the mRNA vaccine for the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccine. Now, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is a little bit different because actually it takes the DNA of the spike protein, and instead of the mRNA, they take the DNA of the spike protein, and then they take the DNA and they put it in a virus, an altered virus called adenovirus, which also normally causes a common cold. They put that DNA into the adenovirus, which they alter so it cannot affect you, and then they inject you with that vaccine, and the DNA, just like the mRNA, goes to your cells. Your cells will take the DNA information and produce spike proteins that they will release into your body, and so your immune system could develop antibodies against the spike protein. So, let me just reiterate that the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine are mRNA vaccines, and the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is a vector vaccine that uses DNA. But all three vaccines produces the spike protein that's found on the COVID-19 virus, so that your immune system will produce antibodies against that spike protein, so you cannot be infected with the coronavirus. Now, a lot of people are asking which one is best to take. And I would say just whichever one is available to you, because they all three have shown to be effective against preventing COVID-19, but not only effective against preventing COVID-19, but they also effective in preventing severe infections. So if you get the vaccine and you still get infected with COVID-19, your symptoms are significantly reduced, and studies have shown that the likelihood of you being admitted to the hospital or having severe COVID-19 infection is significantly reduced. So my recommendation is that you get any one of the vaccines that are available to you. Now, the Pfizer vaccine is a 2-dose vaccine. You get which are about 4 weeks apart, and the Moderna vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine is 3 weeks apart, and the Moderna vaccine is 4 weeks apart. Now, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is a one-shot vaccine, and you don't need a booster. And it has shown that it's very effective against the variants that are out there from Brazil, from the UK, from South Africa, and even there's a variant in California now. So I would highly recommend that you would take either one of the three vaccines that are available to you. As you know, COVID-19 has significantly affected our community, it's affected our economy, it's affected our way of life, and the only way to get back to some sense of normalcy is to get the vaccine, so we could achieve what we call herd immunity. Thank you.